two tiny owls, they hold each other's wings and they dance under the moon. Oh, yeah, they dance under the moon.
I'm feeling very hobbity today. Just feeling like I want to sit inside in a chair. When don't I feel like I want to sit inside in a chair and drink coffee and knit and sit by the fire? That's like my complete 100% jam. I don't really have any other jam. And I'm raising a toddler, and there are so many days when I'm like, okay, now we're going to put blankets on the floor and pillows, and we're going to just cuddle, and we're going to just like eat marshmallows, you know, like that's life. Like I'm, you know, and my cousin has a little boy who's the same age, and she's like, now we're going to the zoo, now we're getting in the car, now we're going over here, we're going to, like, she's like, now he's learning how to drive. She's like, he's got his license already, he's 2 years old, he's a really good driver. In fact, we flew out to see them last week, and he flew the plane, which was really cool. Anyway, but my child is going to be like the most like loungiest. I'm so loungy. Could be my sun sign. Who knows? Anyway, I have a new pattern. I didn't block this. This is the problem, okay? I don't even want to show it. I did not block this thing before doing photo shoots or doing the video, which is so dumb because it needs to be blocked so bad. And it's when it blocks, it's going to look amazing. And I haven't blocked it, and I'm just so dumb. But, you know, I noticed that in this part of my life, like some things just have to fall through the cracks, and I have to just watch it, like Cheerios in the vents, and just be like, okay, you want to put Cheerios in the humidifier, you know what? The house will smell like nice oatmeal smell, and you know, that's okay. So I'm not letting, you know, details and patterns go and things like that, but like certain things like blocking my finished project hasn't been happening as much. Okay, I didn't even get it prepared to show in the best angle, but I've been working on this for over a year. It is a Celtic tree cowl. It has the names, good display stuff on it, of 20, okay, I have to start from scratch. This is take 2. May I introduce the Celtic tree cowl. A big, smooshalicious circle of trees to wrap yourself in. Twist all around and smooshes and smoshes and squishes and squashes. And like, okay, done. Ready. Put it on upside down, so that's really super cool and anticlimactic. Here we go. Okay, I just had to arrange it so that my favorite one is showing, which is oak. My first idea was just to have a cowl with just the word oak on it, because I just like, I love that word. I love the oak tree. It's been making our cabinets and furniture for as long as we've been on Earth, and not in every culture, of course, but I just love that big papa. I love that big papa. And right below it, I put willow, because I'm like, willow. And then right below that, I put beech, because there are this most amazing trees in Avebury. If you've ever been, people go to Avebury, and they're the standing stones, and those are beautiful and amazing, and la 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 la. But off to the right are these beech trees. And I am not kidding you. They will, I'm going to put it out there, carry on a full conversation with you if you try. They are so chatty and so vivacious and vibrant and wise, and they've been there for so long, and they have so much encoded information. You know, we have the internet, right? Invisible information. It's kind of a metaphor for the information that you can get just from the world around you, I think. The first time I met the beech trees at Avebury, I didn't know I was going to talk about this, but I'm just going to. I walked up to them, and they're giant, and there's so many, and their roots have come up out of the ground, and they're just winding their way down the hill to the stones, and they are so beautiful. I'm like giving you that feeling right now, and I could cry. So they're covered almost in like this green moss, their bark, and I just went up to this one, and I just kind of got real close to her, and she was all like gnarled and bobbly, and she said, I just don't know why you humans complain about your bodies so much. Look at my trunk. It's gnarled It's knobbly, it's wobbly, it's blubbery, it's cracked, and I love it because it gives me life and it supports me, and it's the body that I'm in. And I just was so taken aback, and she just said one of her wishes was just for people to just appreciate their bodies, because it holds their encoded information, their brain, their thoughts, their soul, whatever you want to call it. It's what you look out of, so just bless it. And I just learned such a huge lesson from that tree. Now, am I like keeping that idea with me every day? No, probably not as much as I should. And I think we all struggle with it. Our culture is so obsessed with the body looking a certain way. But I will just never forget that beautiful beech tree giving me that lesson. And you know, I'm sure 90% of you maybe are thinking that's crazy, a tree can't talk. And maybe that's true. Maybe the information came from my soul, or maybe the information just kind of occurred to me at the time. Felt like a voice of a tree to me. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not the only one who talks to trees. So the reason I decided to add all of the other trees, these are the 25, historically speaking, most sacred, holy, if you want to use that word, trees in the British Isles. And the trees also make up the Ogham, which is spelled O-G-H-A-M, and it is an ancient Irish alphabet from around the 4th century. And what it is each letter is actually a marking of lines, and then that letter represents a tree, which also represents an idea and is symbolic of a process of life or something that you would go through, a journey that you'd go through in your life. For instance, birch is the first letter of this alphabet. Because it comes first, it represents the birch tree, which I didn't even realize I had on, especially for this video, which also represents birth and new growth. And I've talked about this before when I put out the birch cowl, because that's why I did this one, because it's the first one I had ever intention of doing all the trees. That is not happening any longer. I just made this with all of the 25 trees listed, not in any particular order. So I do have some really beautiful staves that were made. This is what one of the letters would look like. Okay, so that is what you'd see carved on stones all around Ireland and in England. I'm not sure if they're in Europe. I'm sure they are. I'm sorry, I don't have that information. But anyway, I wanted to put these beautiful trees down. There were a lot of laws protecting these trees, and they were treated as sentient, intelligent beings with information. They were treated with so much respect and love and care. And so there was actually punishments if you did anything to these trees, these special trees. Do you want me to list them? I don't know if I can. I have a lot of books on sacred trees. I'm just really into it. I think anyone who knits my patterns probably knows I'm completely into trees. Well, so there are lots of books on the sacred Celtic trees, or the Ogham, or the alphabet, and there's lots of ways to use these trees and to work with these trees. Anyway, so if you are interested in in ancient Celtic alphabets, you might find that to be interesting, or you might just want to talk about knitting with me instead of how wonderful trees are and how much they talk to me. These are, like, to me, the Holy Trinity. A lot of people will say, like, oak, ash, and thorn, so I put that there too for people that are into that style, but, like, I'm right here. Boom! The oak, the willow. The oak is like the masculine, and the willow is like this feminine, and then the beech is just this wealth of information. In fact, what does beech mean? Let's look up what beech means, like, specifically. It's at the end, and some people don't actually consider the beech to be one of the trees in the Ogham. Queen of the Woods. Sharing a place of honor with the kingly oak. You think? Local British traditions associate it with serpents, probably because of its serpentine root systems, which are revealed by soil erosion when they are planted on hills or slopes. I just talked about that. Again, this lurks the notion of the wise serpent giving the knowledge to those who ask for it. What? Several altars to the beach have been discovered in the French Pyrenees, suggesting its importance to the Celtic tribes that live there. It said that no harm would ever befall a traveler sheltering beneath its branches, while prayers uttered in its shade were bound to be answered, just as any curse spoken was said to be more effective. Don't speak curses. Not that you would. If you're here, you wouldn't. Each of the words, I'm going to show you this really quickly. Each of the words, according to this anyway, you've got the tree, the symbol, and then this one's called phagos. There's a man online going through all the pronunciations. He's been to listen. Phagos, ruin, Louise. I've listened to it a couple times. I still can't pronounce anything. Anyway, I hope you will enjoy knitting this if you choose to. You don't have to go like as deep into the like let's love all the trees as I do, but I'm happy to share it with you. Oh, P.S. These staves were made by Spirit of Old UK on Etsy, and I finally gave in and got them. I've been loving them for so long, and they're a bit dear, but they're very, very special. Each of the letters is carved on the actual branch that it represents. So they just carry that energy with them. And Spirit of Old UK also takes these from the ground, and they're, ethically harvested. They're not going out and chopping down trees. So that's a really good thing too. And it's in my tree bowl. Do you guys want to talk about trees? You guys want to talk about trees? I really want to talk about trees, you guys. You're excited as I am. They have leaves. They have trunks. What? You know what's fascinating about trees, and we all know this, but when you're standing below one, to really understand that what you're seeing above you is also below you. The root system looks an awful lot like the branches. And so it shows us every single place we look, that as above, so below concept. And it's right there in front of our eyes. They show us so much. They show us hibernation. They show us resting. They show us rejuvenation. They teach us about cycles. They teach us about, sometimes you're going to be barren. Sometimes you're going to sit there and you're not going to have anything to offer. And you need to be feeding down into your roots. All of the energy in the winter goes down into those roots. And then in the spring, and it doesn't have to be a seasonal cycle for you or for what you're going through. There are mini cycles and major cycles. There's all these cycles going on within cycles, as far as how do I feel at 9 a.m. as opposed to how do I feel at 3 p.m. and how do I feel on Friday as opposed to Monday, and how do I feel, in the beginning of the month as opposed to the end, or the beginning of the the moon when it swells, and how I feel when it fades, and the years as well. I had a couple of years off, and I really did feel like a tree in winter. I had nothing to offer. I couldn't think of any ideas, and I'm experiencing a personal spring right in the middle of fall right now, just with so many ideas. I wish I had just a team of knitters that could just sit and knit these things that I'm coming up with, because I have so much to share. Anyway, do you guys want to talk about trees anymore, or are you guys done? Did I actually bore you to the point where you're not watching? Anyway, I chose a sport weight wool for this. And the reason is because those are the colors that I felt I loved them. And then I was made aware that sport weight yarn is a little bit hard to find in some places. Apparently in Australia, it's difficult to come by. So it's a little, sport weight yarn is a little bit thinner than DK, but it's not quite sock weight. So it's that kind of middle ground thing. If it were me and I couldn't find sport, I think I would do DK and do it really, really tight. Or, yeah, that's what I'd do. Because this thing could be bigger and it wouldn't hurt. I promise you, it wouldn't. I have seen a lot of writing on knitting and things like that, and a lot of times they don't use the serif fonts. This is actually, nerdily enough, the font that I use to write my patterns in. It's Book Antiqua. I love that font. It's my favorite. So I actually used it for this cowl too. So if you recognize the writing, it's because that's what's in all of my patterns. It's the main font, not the fun font. So anyway, I use that because it has the serif, which are the little lines, which I think give it that like extra, what? I hope you guys like it. I love it. I think it's going to look so good blocked. I think it's going to make a huge difference. But it is like, look at that. What oak puppy just popped out there. Oak daddy. So anyway, I hope that you guys are having a blissful fall. I know I always say that. I always talk about the seasons. But to me, it shows us so much about how we're supposed to be living our lives and that we're supposed to take rest. And we're supposed to be rejuvenated and we're supposed to step way back. Can I just talk about one other thing that's come up for me very recently? Since we were talking about cycles, I really wanted to talk about cycles in regard to extremes, the extremes that we have in our lives. I read something the other day that's been really profound and it's been really helping me. And that is that, you know, I have a tendency to be a workaholic. And then I have a tendency to be a relax and do nothing-aholic. And then I have a tendency to be like, you know, maybe happy or then maybe really, really sad or like I'm really, really into this thing and then I'm really, really into this. You know, it's just like these extremes that kind of pull and they make you feel with a myopic vision that you're sliding off of the world and you're sliding off of the world. I've just recently gone back to work doing this, you know, it's 8 hours a day if I can. And it's made me feel like I'm hitting that extreme. I'm in that extreme. And I read this line in this book, and I will try to remember what it is. Oh, I know exactly what it is. Okay. Be the balance that is big enough to hold all of your extremes. So all of a sudden your vision from being on this teacup on a thing going like, oh my gosh, I'm totally working so hard right now. Oh my God, I'm not doing anything. I hate myself. Oh my God, I'm working so hard. I'm the worst person ever. I'm ignoring everyone. Oh my God, I'm not doing anything. Instead of seeing that jerking you around, if you step way back and see the cycle, and it said like, see the moon and see the whole thing. Don't just go like, oh my gosh, where's the moon? Oh my gosh, there it is. Oh my gosh, where's the moon? But like, no, it's all coming around so that you can see yourself from a distance moving to this side of the wheel and then moving to this side of the wheel and then moving over here. And all of it, you can see all of it. So it's not an extreme anymore. It just becomes the whole because you've stepped way back to get a bigger picture and you've gotten balance of the things that feel like, you know, you want to start having a self-loathing party for how close you are to this person and then how close you are to this other person or how emotional you're getting or how you're doing this all the time and then you're not doing it at all and, you know, and all these things, the extremes that we have, and there's so many different kinds of extremes that you can have, to step way back and see, you know, that the tree loses its leaves, it's not dead. And then spring, it's always going to be spring. No, baby, those leaves are going to turn red one day, and that's okay too, because once you step back, you're not in the vision of one cycle and freaking out. Do I need to keep going on? Anyway, you step way back to know that it's going to coil and coil and coil and coil and coil. And then you can just really take a deep breath because you've wizened to the point where you can allow yourself to have extremes without. And what they're not really considered extremes anymore, right? They're considered like a season. That's been helpful. This tree cowl has meant a lot to me personally, and it's really flippin' fun to knit too, if I may say. I love stranded knitting when there's just two colors. You know, you're one color over here and you're one color over here, and then you're like green, 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 white, white, green, green, white, white, white. Green, green. Oh, yeah, you can sing that song too when you do it. I don't mind. So, I dare you to walk down the street like this. It's almost like a Princess Leia, but not. It's not Princess Leia. Convince yourself of that. Maybe you'll have your favorite word. Maybe your name is Heather, and you want to just be like, this is my name, so I hope you understand that. You could wear it like a Chewbacca belt too. What's with the Star Wars references? Okay. Anyway, I hope you'll have fun knitting this. Don't get too tight when you're pulling your different colors and relax and have fun with it. The chart, I gotta be honest, is really, 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 really long. Like it's obviously starts here and goes all the way around to there. So it's 3 pages like that. And then the other side is a chart as well. So you do this chart, then this chart, and then this chart, and you just work your way up going through the charts. And there's a moment where it feels like it's going to take a long time. Trees take a long time to grow. But then, before you know it, here it is. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me today. I know I went off on like a couple maybe potentially controversially tangential subjects. But, you know, it's where I'm coming from. I finished recording and I went upstairs and then I remembered I have this really special tree story and I wanted to share it with you, but I put it at the very end of the video, so if you're still watching, then I know that you can hear this. If you're still here, this story's for you. So, a couple months ago, I was with my friend Deborah. I met her through Ravelry, actually. She's just this phenomenal, amazing woman. She's a fertility acupuncturist, and she is the baby whisperer. She's the one who told me that I was pregnant with Woodson before I even knew. I said, I'm not pregnant. She goes, someone's here. She's just amazing. She's just, oh my gosh, so grateful for her. Anyway, we went to a gem and mineral show because, as many of you may know, I'm also into rocks. Like, I've got a rock thing, okay? Like, that's a smoky quartz dug right out of Colorado, right here. This is what the earth will give you. It gives you apples, it gives you carrots, it gives you air, it gives you birds, and gives you this. You need it all. Anyway, so we're leaving, and we're walking through the parking lot, and this is in Denver, and I'm not totally into, like, a lot of concrete. It kind of freaks me out when I get into a city. I'm kind of like, it upsets me. Let's just put it that way. Nothing wrong with enjoying the urban vibe. Like, I do get it, but personally, emotionally, somehow when I get in the city, I just start feeling kind of like I need more trees. So anyway, so I'm walking in this dirty parking lot, and I hear this voice go, psst, come here. And we've been talking about talking to trees all day long. And I went, and I looked, and there's this huge tree, like, you know, parking lot, and then there's some, like, little square, and then there's, like, a tree, and they're like, oh, they planted it there. This thing's, like, it's, like, about that big around, so it's a pretty big tree. And I look, and there's acorns everywhere, and so it's an oak tree. So I'm like, an oak tree? So I said, Deborah, we gotta go talk to this oak tree. So I went over and I just kind of put my ear on her and up and just kind of hold on to her, and she goes, look down, there's something for you. And I look down and I see this sticking out of the ground, a little tiny tip of a crystal. And I was like, what? So I dug down and I pulled it out, and I pulled this crystal out that was dug and buried right underneath this tree. This crystal not only has a spirit window, which is when you see that little diamond? Can you see that? The diamond has a spirit window. It has a notch, which is for interdimensional travel. It has Lemurian ridges. Like, this thing is crystal clear, no pun intended. I think it has an Isis face too. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it doesn't have an Isis face. There's a lot going on here, let's just say. Every quartz has value, but this one. So my first thought was, I'm sure I should leave it here. I'm sure I shouldn't take it. I'm sure it's not for me. So Deborah, who's also has clairaudient abilities, so she went on the other side of the tree, and we both asked it silently in our head, like, is this for me to take, or should I leave this here? I don't want to take a crystal. Someone obviously put it here, or it grew, who knows? And then we opened it. She said, I want you to have it to me. And then Deborah opened her eyes and she goes, it's a gift. It's for you. And I, of course, just happened to have a whole bag full of crystals. So I planted a little grid around. So I planted more crystals. I put 3 crystals in the ground around the tree. And I took this one. And I have it sitting on this little shelf. Oh, my lentils. Oh my gosh. You cannot cook lentils without water. Oh my gosh. Oh, those are done anyway. No, the lentils are on the floor again. My lentils sounds a lot like my Lanta. Anyway, I have this with an acorn from her. And they always have gem and jewelry shows and mineral shows and all kinds of shows there, so we always go visit her. In fact, we visited her last week. Anyway, I just wanted to put that last little, like, secret-y tidbit in there for anyone who's still hanging around, who hasn't left after I told them that I talked to trees. Danielle Nitz talks to trees, and they talk back. It's true. Go try it. In fact, if you want to meet a tree, I've read sort of like a million books on the subject, kind of after the fact. One of the ways that you can approach it, and this is sort of more the Chinese approach, is to kind of stand with your back to it for a minute and just kind of each in a little bit and then just put your back against it and relax. Some trees are talkative, some trees aren't. Some trees are young, some trees are old, some trees want to leave the planet, some want to continue to stay here, they always have valuable information. Relax your mind and just listen. And know that as we breathe out, they're breathing in. And as they breathe out, we have this symbiotic relationship already. They can also take any kind of negative energy that you're feeling from you. So if you have the EBGBs or the jitters or the boogers or the uckers or the blithers or the exhausters or the sadness or whatever you've got going on, whatever buggers are kind of eating you away, the tree will take it from you. And it's an amazing experience to have a tree cleanse you in that way. They clean the air and they clean us too, because we're part of this place. We're all part of this place together. So next time you see a tree that you want to get involved with, go hang out a little bit and offer something, and then ask if it needs something from you, because it might need something from you as well. Just a kind word or a bit of healing, or sending some light down to a certain branch or whatever it might need, or to help progress, elevate consciousness and enlightenment on the planet through each individual living thing that's chosen to be here. So there's that. Enjoy talking to some trees and getting to know some. The energy of the elementals will actually kind of eat some of that energy. I know that sounds crazy, but it isn't. It's true. So anyway, you can just let it go and don't worry about it hurting the tree. It's not going to hurt the tree. It feeds the tree. Just like our carbon dioxide feeds the tree and the tree's oxygen feeds us, it's also the same energetically. So we can kind of let things go to them. And if you think it's completely crazy, next time you've got the heebie-jeebies, get out there and hold on to a tree. I'm a tree hugger. One more thing really quickly. I was just watching back. I'm doing it again. I was just watching the video to see like if it's okay. And I always am like looking right here. And I just wanted to show you what I'm looking at because I think it really matters. So that is our locust tree. And it cascades over like this. And I am constantly throwing a blanket right there and just sitting under it. It goes so far up. And she got a nice haircut this year and got some of her dead branches pruned away, which is very important, right? Get rid of the old. Pruning. It's all about pruning. And so she's just a really, really happy little friend. And I just wanted to show you what I keep looking at while I'm talking. I'm like, I love the locust tree because its leaves look like ferns. Are we still talking about trees? I think I'll let you go. Anyway, so much love to you and just so many blessings, so much love and so much amazing tree love and energy your way.